The Breakdown.
Moon Eater and Soul Eater by Magnolia Park.
Gave you my heart, it wasn't good enough. Blood spewing from your mouth, taste of selfish love. I tried so hard, but always fuck it up. I always fuck it up, yeah. You taste like selfish love. Taste like selfish love.
These two EPs are the Orlando Outfit's latest offering, both released the 18th of August via Epitaph Records. Moon Eater and Soul Eater consists of 5 tracks each, and the pair of EPs serve as the much anticipated follow-up to last year's debut LP, Baku's Revenge, which did have a deluxe reissue in April of this year that had like another 40 songs. This band doesn't sleep. We're back with 10 more new tracks. Sam, Moon and Soul, how'd you feel? This is like this band's releasing like a Pokemon record type deal.
Yeah, like you
It's
can.
like this is Sapphire
you can trade
and Ruby
for the other songs, like with a friend. Novel idea. I need somebody to actually try that.
Moon and Soul cannot believe Pokemon has not made that its own thing yet. They did Sun and Moon.
There's until the Earth is engulfed by the sun, there's a never-ending stream of Pokemon
infinite.
titles that So like, let's not count them out just yet. I thought we'd split these in two and kind of do them one at a time, if that makes sense to you.
That's fine.
All right, let's start with Moon Eater, Marcos,
Yes.
which features Homicide, Breathing featuring Nothing Nowhere, Do or Die featuring Ethan Ross, Unholy Heart featuring Honey Revenge, and Heartstopper featuring Grieve. Funny that this has like 4 features on it, and then like the next one has like no feature, like one singular
the
feature
one
on
408
it.
feature, yeah.
And then a cheat feature, which is like one of the members of the band. Well, one of the most fascinating things about this is that it lists features of members of the band. Where it's like one of the songs is like also featuring Joshua Roberts, and I'm like, you mean the vocalist for Magnolia Park? What are you even talking about right now? I was like, what kind of Spotify game are you playing? Like, I don't fully understand what's happening right now.
Moon is really good. Not to be dismissive of Soul whatsoever, but I think it might be my favorite of the 2 EPs.
I'm 100% with you. I think we're starting with the stronger of the 2 EPs by far.
And honestly, I think Homicide might be one of my favorite Magnolia Park songs in general.
And part of the reason of it is because Homicide is one of the best songs of the year and easily Magnolia Park's best song.
Ooh, I disagree. That's Tokyo.
Easily,
At
like,
the moment, it's
not
Tokyo
even,
still.
No, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. It's Homicide.
But yeah, so
surpassed it.
first EP, first song on it, Homicide. We're starting off real strong. And then we get Breathing, Sam, which if you kick back to the beginning of the show, we talked about Travis Scott having surprise features. You accidentally listening to this and acting like it was a surprise. That Nothing Nowhere was on there.
unaware that a feature was incoming.
Yes. Still loving that track?
Yeah. I think it's sort of like the little brother to Homicide that isn't quite as good, but the Nothing Nowhere feature sort of helps elevate it.
Yes.
Ethan Ross, Do or Die featuring Ethan Ross, I think is a little more fascinating. It kind of sounds like a Corpse song to me a little bit.
It does. I think that's just Ethan Ross's style and what they bring to the table.
But that's what's kind of cool about this EP is that like it sort of does a really good job of like dancing in between genres very gracefully, and sort of disrespecting every other band that's made a singular genre. They're like heart and soul of their band, because Magnolia Park does this thing where they're just like, yeah, fucking pop punk song, it's just as good as most pop punk bands.
Right.
Metalcore song, it's gonna kind of sound like most good metalcore bands. It's a fucking new metal track.
Yep.
Like they're just sort of really good at just sort of bouncing in and out of genres. The one in particular that I want to talk about on Soul when we get to that.
Then we have Unholy Heart featuring Honey Revenge, the third track on here, which has maybe one of the biggest choruses this band's ever had on a Magnolia Park song.
I think this is my favorite feature of both EPs. I just think it's such a Honey Revenge is just such an incredibly perfect complement to Magnolia Park. So it works incredibly well. For me, that was, again, it was just the standout feature, which says a lot, on a same EP that contains artists like Nothing Nowhere, who I've become incredibly fond of.
Totally, 100%. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that big standout track on this particular EP and of the two, I think, honestly. And then we do have that final. I think I called Unholy Heart the third song. It's not. That was the fourth. Heartstopper's the fifth, featuring Grieve. And I think it just closes that EP out on a good note.
Yeah,
It's not my favorite track on here, but it's solid.
Right, I agree with you as well. It's solid. I don't quite love the verses, but it's a decent track. For me, it was like, we've already won. Whatever ends up happening here doesn't matter. You know what 100%. I mean?
100%. And we move on to Soul.
Right. Soul Eater and Blood Love Marcos, which is the second track on here featuring Decode. It's this incredibly cozy feeling, like emo pop song. And this for me really like doubled down on the fact that Magnolia Park can't like just step in and dominate any sort of subculture of the scene at like a pro level.
It's really refreshing, honestly.
Just like Total Supremacy dropping a song like this. Manic featuring 408, I feel like I enjoy, but I don't quite love. I feel like 408 and Magnolia Park have had better collaborations together.
Sure. I think I'm a little less sour. Feels harsh to say, but no, I like that song. It's got a nice chorus. But I think we move on to some other songs on here I do like a little bit more. D for You, Die for You. But then Love. And Love is really
right. So
maybe
Love,
the standout track on Soul Leader for me.
It's just, it has like it doesn't have like the biggest hook, but it's just like very, very cleverly written.
It's just a fun little storytelling bit, essentially.
The lyrics really stand out on that track in particular. Yeah. And that's kind of what's neat about this is it's almost like a sampling plate of all the things that Magnolia Park can do well, just sort of like splashed across like 10 different songs in 2 EPs.
Yeah, and I think the approach is smart. It's like, okay, well, these songs are most similar. Like these 5 songs you can bunch together, and these other 5 songs you can bunch together. Maybe it wouldn't make sense as a full album, but as far as, like you said, an appetizer, like here's a couple of different tastes of this band.
That's where you land ultimately, by the way. You in your mind, you don't think this would have worked as well as a full length?
I don't know if it's that or if this band just really sold me on the idea of fun little double EPs like this one. I think this is such a cute little idea, and I think that the execution was really good. And ultimately, I walk away from it with 2 EPs that I really liked.
Yeah, just one quick thought about wishful thinking before we sort of come to our final thoughts here. I think that song's got
the closing track on the EP. Yep.
It's got a really like quirky instrumental, and I sort of walked away from that track already sort of feeling like it's going to go down as like one of Magnolia Park's most underrated songs, like before it even has a chance not to be that. You know what I mean? Like it just already feels like it exists in that space.
And then honestly, I think like Heartstopper and D for You might be the 2 of the lesser tracks, like per album, per EP rather. Like those are probably the 2 that I can walk away from both of the EPs not having needed, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe I push Manic into that space a little bit for me as well. I just thought it was a little bit forgettable, but I will say that, you know, probably in my mind, Homicide, Blood Love, and Wishful Thinking are going to go down as like staples for Magnolia Park.
I just realized we have Blood Love and then Love, Love, on the same EP.
It's completely different types of love.
It's fine.
Completely different variations on love. I think I would land at like, as a whole, like I'll give both EPs.
I want you to like give this a 3, but like 2 extremes, like one's a 1 and the other's a 5.
That would be funny.
Just like you even them out.
I think it's like the first one's like a 4 and then the second one's like a 3 for me. So it's like as a pair, I'd give them like a 3.5.
I think I'd go 4.5, 3.5. So maybe I land on a 4. But yeah, no, another really great, I guess, pair of outings from Magnolia Park.